Hi, Connie. Hi, Cindy. We'll wait a few more minutes and see if other people can find us, okay? I hope you ladies had a lovely day. Here's Donna and Kathy. Tammy. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Donna. All right, I'll wait a few more seconds. Okay. I see Carol has joined us. Hi, Carol. Okay, well, we get started. This is the new hostess code if anybody needs to place an order. I'm sure most of you are like me. We're going to wait till January 5th so we can take advantage of the celebration. So if you do not have these two catalogs and you do not have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you'd like some, just reach out to me and we'll work something out on how to get them to you. Okay? Now, most of you know me quite well. I have been teaching stamping and scrapbooking in the local area here of Lewiston for well over 20 years now. My kids were much younger and in high school, I think, when I first started. So tonight is Monday night, which is our simple stamping. So I wanted to create a couple of projects that didn't have to take a lot of supplies. And I wanted to use the same stamp set for both of them. I just love this stamp set. It's in the annual catalog, and I don't think that the catalog did it justice at all. I've made several projects with it. So I thought I would teach the people that have limited supplies a new trick. So this is card number 1. This Patsy, she's joining us. So you can see it's using the lovely Peacock, which is one of the in colors that will be going out in probably April. I'm assuming they will be posting shortly after celebration the retirement list, and paper and that kind of stuff is as supplies last. So if you like this beautiful kind of tealy blue, you better stock up on it now. So this is the first project we're going to make. So I did use Pretty Peacock and 2 sheets of white that are the same size. They're 4 by 5¼ and then a piece of scrap here. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Let me get this out of the way. So you're going to need a piece of white. And what I do sometimes when I have fun shapes like this is from the Tasteful, Tasteful dies. So you can see Tasteful labels dies. I have a sheet in here that tells me how big of a piece I need. So I did use that. And you know my rule, if I'm going to cut one, I'm also going to cut 6 or 7 or 8 or 12. This one I happen to cut 12 just because I like it. But I also cut a couple of pieces of just computer paper so I can use them as a little template. Let me grab my removable tape. Now, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this removable tape, but most of your big box stores do. And even though it's removable, I wouldn't press too hard on it, because sometimes it does leave a little residue. So I'm going to, the same size as my cards. I want to try to line it up nice and straight. Oops, it's already sticking on me. And then I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper. And for this particular card, I only used Seaside Spray, believe it or not, a little bit, and then the Pretty Peacock. And I'm so in love with these brushes, I had to use it again for this week's project. So I'm going to start with my lighter color first. Pick up some color. And remember, you can always add more color, but you can't take it off. So you're better off to go over it a few times. I'm telling you, you guys, you're going to love these brushes. There we go. Okay. One more time, I think, we'll be good. I hope you can see that on the camera. It's very soft and settled, which is what I want. Now I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to make sure that there's no... I'm going to have a brush for like blues, a brush for oranges, and so on like that. That way you can use them. So I'm picking up some of the Peacock. Going in a circular motion. Then I'm going to come back one more time to get the outer edges. I always dab off a little bit before I start, because sometimes you get that intensity and you don't want it. And you always should come from the outside in. So one more time. And of course, you're never going to be able to make two cards exactly the same. All right. So that's it for my coloring. So now I'm going to peel this off. Try to keep my hands clean. That's the secret. Now you can see where I got a little bit here. So my paper must have been off just a tad. So I'm going to trim that. Take that whisker off. And there's one on the top too. So when I say a whisker, you see where this dark line starts? That's how much I take off. It's about it's a little bit more than a 1/16 of an inch. But I don't think it's quite an 1/8 of an inch. I don't know what's in between that. Somebody that's the mathematician might be able to help us better. Okay, so now I'm going to take this beautiful fern, come back in with my Peacock. Oh, I should have done a little bit inside. I'll do that after. I'm going to ink this up very well. And this is a distinctive stamp, so you will see some of that. But when you're using these distinctive stamps, make sure you're tap dancing, not smushing, as I call it. So I'm going to line the top up with the top up here. Set that down. Wait about 10 or 15 seconds. I love the Peacock with the Seaside Spray too. It's so pretty. Perfect. So now I'm going to take my other piece, breathe on it, and use it for the inside of my card. Like that. And I'm hoping there's still a little bit on here. There is. I just want to give it a shadow. for the inside. Now I am going to stamp. Make sure I'm grabbing the right one. Friends like you mean more every year. Okay, so I'm inking my stamp up well. And I'm putting it right over where I just made that shadow. So this looks like it's a complicated technique, but it's not. It's very easy. It takes limited supplies. Anybody can do it. You may not have that brush that I have, but you may have a dauber, or you may have a makeup sponge. There. Now I need to stamp my outside greeting. Let me slide this across. And then I'm going to stamp that on my little piece of scrap, which is about 1 inch. Just let it sit there for a few minutes. Seconds, I should say, not minutes. There. Now, while that's drying, I have learned over the years, as I'm sure many of you have, that the darker the pigment, it takes a little bit longer to dry. So we have to have a little bit of patience. Let me grab my punch. I hope everybody has this punch. I just love it, love it, love it. It's the Banner Pick punch that came out in the winter catalog. So I'm going to slide it in. I'm going to turn it over to see. Yep, it looks like it's pretty centered. Flip it over and do the other one. And I always flip it over. Double check it. Okay, so now my greeting must be dried enough. So I'm using the banner one this time, the fishtail one, I'm sorry. So I'll push that in all the way. Try to center it. I don't see my words, so I'm okay. Flip it over. And center it, and I don't see my words, so I can punch it. That looks good. Let's test it out here. Maybe one more. I think I'm going to go in one more time. So again, that's the reason that I always flip it over, to make sure that I'm not cutting off my words. There. All right. So I think we're ready to assemble. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way. So we'll start with the inside with some Tombow. You're going to have a nice border, about 1/4 inch or so all the way around. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going to put this one on. Again, using Tombow. Make sure you have a nice frame with the peacock. See, a little bit of that residue got left. Okay, so then I'm going to attach these two together. So a little bit of Tombow goes a long ways. And I like using these two punches together. Creates kind of a cool effect. So there's that. Let's put some pop-ups behind it, dimensionals. Right down here. And then we need some stamping rhinestones to give it a little bit of bling. Grab my pickup tool. And there, let's put a bigger one down here. And I already pre-stamped my envelope, as you can see. So there we have it. Here's the first project. Isn't it pretty? I just love those colors together. All right, let me clean up this stuff a little bit. And grab the second project. So the second project is again using the same stamp set, but it's like creating wallpaper, I call it. So again, this one I pre-stamped my envelope ahead of time. And I'm not using the ferns this time. And my flower, but I've added another color. Would you have put these three colors together? So the colors are Seaside Spray, Just Jade, and Pretty Peacock. Okay, so let's make this one. So this is 11 by 4 1/4. Scored at 5 1/2. Oh, thank you, Tammy. All right, let's get another piece of paper. And the inside of this one is, I left it blank. So, let me grab my whites and my scrap paper back. So I stamped this one landscaped. Let's stamp some of these pretty flowers. Those of you that are flower people that are on, what kind of flower is this? Anybody know? My husband was alive, he'd tell us in a heartbeat. He was the flower man. And one more. Now, because this is the biggest stamp, that's why I started with that one. And we're going to need this again, so let me just set that aside. Then the next biggest stamp is the butterflies. And they're all distinctive stamps. And it's okay if they overlap a little. All right. Then I'm going to come in with the feather. Oops, looks like I didn't put that one on block. Grab a block right here. And I'm going to fill it in with the Just Jade. Wow, this is still... Oh, no, I got to clean that because I want it to be a little bit lighter. Okay, so now we're going to do... Let me move this out of the way so I don't have a marriage. I don't like married stamp pads. Okay, so let's fill it in with the Jade. And how about one right here? Okay, so now I'm going to come back in with my Seaside Spray. While I'm thinking of it, I'm going to stamp my little tag here. Very lightly. And then I'll do my inside later because I noticed my piece is a big one. Okay, where's my brush? I just want to make sure the worst of the peacock is off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this Seaside Spray and go over my flowers. You see that? I'm just doing the flowers. It just adds so much. I probably could have done it with the peacock too. I don't know. Maybe I did on the sample. I usually work a couple of weeks ahead of time, so sometimes I forget. The only thing I did notice that it does pit your stamp pad a little bit. So what I did, I'll show you in a minute. If you're doing a lot of cards like I had to do for a project, so there. So I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it looks like it's a little bit pitted. All you do is just take your bone folder and spread it like cake icing. All right, I want to put a little bit around this too. The Whisper White is all out. The only thing that's available in the white right now is the Shimmering White. I'm hoping tomorrow we get an update from Stampin' Up! About what the status is. They have located a company that's going to be able to make us some. But I can imagine what it must be like to produce for Stampin' Up! Okay, so now I'm back with the Pretty Peacock, and these are the words. So you can see I used every stamp in this stamp set tonight. Yeah. Let me close this up before I start assembling and making a mess. And my ribbon is right here. Okay, so let me put some ribbon on. Most of you know that I use a cheating method. And I'm going to just take a glue dot so I can do it quickly on each end. Oops, I went too far. Okay. Now I'll mat it onto, I'm missing a piece here. I'll be in my basket, yep. So the base of the card is Seaside Spray. I matted my piece onto Pretty Peacock. This is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5. This is 4 by 5 1/4. This is 3 3/4 by 5. You know me, all the dimensions will be up on my Facebook page tomorrow for a recipe for you. And I challenge you to take a stamp set that has words and images in it and create one of these. This one here, you could do a whole 8 1/2 by 11 sheet. And then make 4 cards very quickly from it. Or more if you wanted your part to be smaller. You could actually get 6 cards if you cut it at 3 3/4 by 4 1/2. Whoop, I don't want to use that. I still got ink on it. Okay, so this is just a little piece of a mat for this. I just made it 1/4 of an inch bigger. Matted it on the Pretty Peacock. And we need some dimensionals for that. And, oh boy, I didn't put that on too straight. I'll fix it. I'll put it in the microwave. You know that trick, right, you guys? If something's stuck and you can't get it down, put it in the microwave for about 5 seconds. And it's usually loose enough so you can move it. Let me put my ribbon on. And I typically do not always cut my ribbon off my spool just to save on ribbon. And then I hold the 2 tails together and cut them at the same time. So there's that card, and I did not use any bling on this card. I figured the ribbon was just enough. So this is the envelope for this one, and then this is the envelope for this one. So I hope you enjoyed this class. It's very simple. You do not need a lot of products. Like I said, that's what I like to gear Monday night towards people that don't have a lot of products or are just starting out in stamping. So I will be back on Wednesday with some step-up cards. I'm doing a really cool easel card that I have never done before, this particular style. And I know some of you aren't box makers, but I need to make a box for something. So I figured if I got to make a box, I might as well demonstrate the box for you guys. So that's what I'm going to be doing Wednesday night. I can't wait to see you guys then. Until then, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and be kind. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.